Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, how are you doing on a Monday? It's not morning, Monday afternoon. It was my birthday on the weekend, and I'm a year older, actually, maybe a day older now. And, usually at this time of the year, after my birthday, I fly south, but not this year. I'm still here in Elliott Lake. And I can't say I'm enjoying the cold weather, but still, I'm here in Elliott Lake. So welcome. Happy Monday to you. If you don't know who I am, well, let me introduce myself. My name is Linda G. Robert. I'm your Back in the Groove Again coach. I'm a travel coach and also a travel agent with Travel Only. And I'm really, really glad that you're joining me for the first day of this series, the Path to Happiness series. We're still at the beginning of the new year. And of course, the theme is New Year, New You. Keep that in mind. Today, we're going to kick things off with a concept from Marci Shimoff's Happy for No Reason book that I think you're going to love. And she uses the metaphor of building a house to explain happiness. And I think it is the perfect way, really, to understand what we need to build lasting joy. Now, if you want a copy of the Happy for No Reason questionnaire, go to my website, lindagrobert.com/happiness hyphen questionnaire. So that's lindagrobert.com/happiness questionnaire. That'll give you a copy of the questionnaire. And you'll be able to complete that and see where you're at when it comes to your happiness set point. Now, before we start building our house of happiness, we'll also need to talk about what's holding us back from being happy. And trust me, we all have a few roadblocks, of course. And once we understand them and work through them, we can work on clearing them out. So let's get started, right? And picture this. Your house of happiness is like a house. And just like a real house needs a strong foundation and solid walls and a roof that keeps everything protected, and even a beautiful garden to make things feel that much homier. Well, your inner happiness house needs the same kind of structure. And each part of the house represents something important in your life that helps you to feel fulfilled, that helps you to feel calm and joyful. Of course, I'll be talking about it more during the week, but I'm going to start with explaining the metaphor of the house. We're going to start with the foundation. And this is where everything starts, right? The foundation of happiness is taking responsibility for our lives. And I won't talk a lot about this because I'm going to save that for tomorrow. But suffice to say that it means recognizing that we are the ones in charge of our happiness, not our circumstances, not other people, and not the things that we can't control. Now, I remember the very first time I got married and the second time, I really still thought that they were going to make me happy. And it didn't work that way. So I remember feeling that external circumstances, people out there, outside of me, are what would bring happiness to me. And of course, it's not that, right? So next, we'll look into the pillars, and they're the strong beams that hold the roof, of course, of our happiness house. And the pillars represent two key things: your soul and your heart. And the soul is about your mindset. We talked a little bit about that during our last live, about resilience, and about the inner strength, basically your mental muscles to get through tough times, to get through difficult times. And we will talk more about that on day 3. In the heart is all about your emotions and the relationships. And we will talk more about that on day 4. So the pillars, these pillars support your well-being. And when they're strong, they keep you grounded, no matter what life throws your way. And then there's the roof, right? The roof is all about living your purpose. So let's talk a little bit more about the roof. It's what gives your house of happiness the meaning of our life, right? And when you know the why you're here, the big why you're here, when you're aligned with your bigger vision for your life, you're grounded, you're focused. So your purpose is like the roof that holds everything together and protects you from elements. Without it, the house, happiness house, can start feeling a little shaky. So when you're clear on your purpose, everything just falls into place. And I think this is what happens after we retire. When we retire, we seem to lose that sense of purpose. Now, I don't know if you're retired or not, but it's an example of when we seem to lose a sense of purpose. For many, many years, when we work, we think our purpose is to contribute to, maybe our clients. We contribute in that way. But when we retire, we seem to lose that purpose. And that's what happens. Sometimes we feel a little bit shaky when we retire because we think we've lost that sense of purpose. Now, when you're clear on your purpose, everything just falls into place. So that means that even if we're retired, we need to think of what our purpose is now. Sometimes we have to rethink what our purpose is once we retire. Now, I want to also talk about the garden. That's part of having a house. The garden is all about support and renewal. So think of it like your personal sanctuary. This is where you tap into the people that you love, keeping them nourished and nourishing you through the people that you love, the practices and the environments that nourish your soul, whether that's time spent in nature or quality time with loved ones, or of simply having a space where you feel safe to relax and to recharge, right? Even in your own home, to making it like a sanctuary, because that's how we feel recharged when we come back home. Our home should be a relaxing environment, right? And if it's not, then how do we make it more relaxing? That's all part of that garden space. And we're going to spend more time talking about nature on Friday. Talk a little bit more about what that means on Friday. Now, I think it's also important to quickly touch on the idea of a happiness set point, which is basically the baseline level of happiness that we each have, which can be influenced by things like our genes or life circumstances. And one would think that we can't do anything to change our genes. But there is good news. There's good news. You can raise your happiness set point by taking care of the different parts of your happiness house, right? You can increase your baseline joy and live more with that positive energy every day. And if you download the questionnaire, you'll get an idea of what your set point is. And that'll give you an idea of where you might need to, of course, areas in your life that you might need to change or look at in order to increase that happiness set point. Now, I want to move on to talk about what prevents us from being happy. So let's get real. Many of us think that happiness comes from the external stuff. Like I was sharing, I'll get married and I'll be happier. Or like getting that perfect job, or once I retire, I'll be a lot happier, making more money, or meeting the right person. But here's the thing. While those things can make us happy for a short term, that's true, lasting happiness comes from inside of us, right? And there's some research that have shown that people who've won a lot of money, like people who have become millionaires after winning the lottery, they're happy for a short term, very short time. Maybe it's a few weeks or up to a few months. But after that period ends, they revert back to their previous level of happiness. So winning money brought some short-term joy, but it didn't last. So it's about nurturing the internal state, not relying on outside things, outside stuff to define our joy. And of course, the more you work on your building, the more you work on building that inner peace and strength, the more you'll see that happiness radiates from the inside out. So what gets in the way? What gets in the way of happiness? So here's some common barriers that can keep us stuck. And we talked a little bit about that during the last live, like fear and worry, right? We all have moments where we're scared about the future or we're stressing out over things that we can't control. But those worries take us out of the present moment and rob us from the joy that we could experience in the very present moment. And when we learn to let go of the what ifs, we free up space to just enjoy this very, very moment. Now, what about limiting beliefs? And we did talk about limiting beliefs during our last series. We may have thoughts like, I'm not good enough, or I don't deserve to be happy. And these beliefs can really hold us back. Now, we're not always aware of those beliefs, right? So we have to pay attention to how we feel, the ways we behave in certain environments, because that's going to be a clue as to what we truly believe. So we're not always aware of these limiting beliefs. It shows up in how we do things and sometimes how we think. So these types of beliefs can hold us back. And the key to breaking through is realizing that they're just beliefs, nothing more than that. And by challenging those negative thoughts, we open ourselves up to much greater happiness. So when you hear those negative thoughts gently speaking in your mind, again, through practicing mindfulness meditation, it really helps to identify some of those thoughts that come up when something wonderful is about to happen. We might have a thought that says, but you can't be happy. You might have some thoughts. So it's an interesting thing to pay attention to. And then, of course, to challenge those thoughts, because they're just thoughts and they're just beliefs, right? So the last thing, too, is attachment to outcomes. A lot of us tie our happiness to specific outcomes, like hitting a goal or getting that promotion, or when we finally retire, for example, right? The I'll be happy when ... And you can fill in the dots. But the problem is that, of course, that when this happiness happens, when it's tied to an outcome, we are setting ourselves up for disappointment. So instead, try finding joy in the process of what you're going through, not just the end result. When you enjoy the journey, happiness becomes a part of every moment. So today we've laid the groundwork for building our house of happiness. And we've also looked at some of the things that might be blocking our joys. Understanding both what helps us feel happy and what holds us back is the first step, towards making real changes. So like the last time, I'm going to give you some questions that you can journal on. And of course, if you're listening to the replay, you'll be able to stop the recording. Otherwise, you can write them down and I'll speak them very slowly, okay? So here's a few questions to help you think about happiness. So number one, what does happiness mean to you? What does happiness mean to you? Now take a moment to think about how you define happiness in your life and what it looks like when you feel truly happy. Number two, think about moments when you felt the most joyful. What were you doing during those moments? Who were you with during those moments? And write about what brings you joy and why these moments stand out to you. Why do these moments stand out to you? So a little bit of journaling, right? And if you're listening to the replay, you can stop the video. And of course, if you're here with me now, because I know there is someone here listening to me, you might want to listen to the replay again because I'm giving you a lot of juicy stuff here. So here's now the third journal prompt. What are some things that you feel prevent you from experiencing happiness on a regular basis? So reflect on these questions. Reflect on what, in this last question, what we'll call barriers and how they might be affecting your overall sense of well-being. All right, a lot of deep questions here. And tomorrow we're going to dive deeper into how to take responsibility for your happiness so you can really start creating the life that you want. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really glad that you are here, and I hope that you join me tomorrow as well as we continue looking at, this house of happiness. And again, if you want a copy of the Happy for No Reason questionnaire, just go to my website, lindagrobert.com/happiness-questionnaire. And as always, if you have, any questions at all, please just add them to the chat box at the comment section, and I will gladly respond to your questions. This is Linda G. Robert, your Back in the Groove Again coach. This is a new year, new you. I'm here to help you, in this case, understand happiness and change your life. Change your life so you can be and feel much happier. All right, on that note, I will see you tomorrow as we discuss the how to take full responsibility for our lives. That's the foundation, the house foundation. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye now.